I really believe anything is possible. But you gotta have that belief in yourself.
Totally.
Like, I'm the type, if something takes me a day or a week or a month, I don't care. If I put my mind to it, I'll find a way to do it.
Welcome everybody to the next episode of the Impact Policy Podcast. I've just got off the back of our most recent episode with Moustafa. Musti is a tri-code international sporting representative. He's got 5 different degree qualifications under his belt. He's been a coach and counsellor. He's on his doctorate journey right now, particularly around understanding the experiences of mental health and people living with cerebral palsy. And he's somebody who I've known for a number of years, who I've often took a great deal of inspiration and motivation from, both personally and professionally. Someone with a mindset that is unparalleled to most people I've ever come across. And so to get him in to be able to have a conversation around his own journey personally, his own journey professionally, and really trying to unpack as well some of those connections between that lived experience, but also some learnings that we have for the sector in terms of thinking about policy, particularly for people that are living with disability, and how we understand and unpack and do that work better is something that's been really, really valuable. So this is an episode that if you're someone who wants to hear a good yarn and take away some strong, mindset sort of insights and motivations from a powerful story, if you're someone who's passionate about our values here at Impact Policy around access, equity, inclusion, and justice, and hear more about his work and his learnings from that, then you'll take a lot from that as well that can help you think about your own world. And if you're a fan of the podcast and you've been following us for some time now, please take a moment to subscribe to our work, to share it with your networks if you are getting value out of the work that we're doing. And thank you so much for being a part of the journey. All right, enjoy the episode.
We've been trying to tee this up for a while.
Quite a while. I think I hit you up when we not long into the Impact podcast.
Yeah, you
it's
did.
Been a couple of years.
It just things just kept popping up.
Always.
I feel like everything happens in its own time when it's when it's meant to be, kind of thing.
Totally.
But like I always had in my mind, no, I want to come on this podcast. I love what you're doing and what you're trying to do, and yeah, hopefully it's something if I can help in the future, I'm more than happy to help you as well. But yeah, it's a really good message what you're putting out there, helping our community. Younger generation growing up. So thank you for inviting me on this podcast.
That leads me into a probably good question to sort of kick us off for our people listening. Who are you? So a bit of an opportunity for you to introduce yourself to our guests. However, you're a man of many different talents and expertises. So I'll give you a space to introduce yourself. How you reckon that goes?
I'm Moustafa, I'm known as Musti. I'm 39 years old. I look a lot younger than my age, I know that.
Very much so.
Yeah, but I'm very ambitious. I think I live my life in a very optimistic kind of point of view where even when something negative happens, I look at it as a chance to grow and learn from circumstance. So for me, I've proudly represented my country in 3 different sports. I'm a tri-international athlete, currently working towards a doctorate in clinical and sports and exercise psychology. So I'm a qualified counsellor, coach, speaker, and working towards clinical and becoming a registered psychologist. For me, as a person, I just like being a good role model and showing that anything is possible in life if you put your mind to it. And I always kind of live by 2 or 3 things. I always say, in life, we live, we learn, we grow. So it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. There's always something you can learn from it.
Totally.
And I don't look at setbacks as a setback. So I look at it as a chance to take a step back, reflect, and then move forward. I mean, that positive mindset helps me. Doesn't matter how bad something scenes, it allows you to really look at, okay, what can I do next time, or what can I improve on to get better from this so-called setback. When I work with clients for counselling, especially addicts, the first rule I set from minute one is do not walk in my room and say you're an addict.
Yeah.
For me, that's already counterproductive because the programs reinforce, oh, hi, I'm Muslim, I'm an addict. The second you repeat, I'm an addict, how are you ever going to get over that addiction? If it's just a habit, no, I'm an addict. No, you're not an addict. It's a part of who you are, but you're not an addict. They engrave it so much in their brain that it becomes a part of their identity. And I'm like, no wonder why you can't move on from addiction. Like, even if you've been sober for a year and you're like, hi, I'm an addict, that reinforces that you still are, yet it's not really acknowledging that you were sober for a year.
Yeah.
They're the things that I don't like as well in that kind of counselling psychology realm that I kind of shift completely from. When I have my own clients, I'm like, no, I work on their confidence and try and get them to remember who they were before the addiction, and then I work on the addiction later on, because that's not who they are. It's a part of their life, but it should never be their identity.
I love that.
That's where all the programs around addiction go wrong. Like, example, I had a guy 10 years addicted to drugs and alcohol. Within 3 months, he completely stopped. Got a job, started his own business. He's like, it changed my life. It's just all about mentality. Like, stop saying, you keep saying I'm an addict, you're gonna believe it no matter what. It's the same positive affirmation. If you keep going, no, I'm this, I'm that, you're gonna believe it eventually.
Yes.
But if you know what I mean, like, if they engrave it in their head, hi, I'm Muslim, I'm an addict. If you say that every meeting, doesn't matter how well you're doing in your life, you're gonna remember it. It's gonna reinforce the negative part of your life, your identity. It kind of makes it a part of your identity when it should not be a part of who you are. You know, I cannot approach therapy more of a confidence building, solution focus, and then when they're ready and I've empowered them, I peel back the layers. And then they're able to deal with the trauma or the addiction and so on. So it's just,
I love that, bro.
Little tricks like that really help.
You said something that really stood out for me. You said it's like a positive affirmation. You know, it's the same sort of impact on your
in a negative
mindset.
way.
In a negative way.
It becomes the part of who you are because you're literally repeating it, not just in front of the mirror, but to yourself, like in front of a whole group of people.
You know, I'm a big supporter of you know, there needs to be not one approach for everyone, you know, and I think, you know, that approach might work well for some people, but absolutely, I think 100%. You're right. Like, it's not for every. Like, I actually went to one of those meetings as a support person. For someone end of last year, and to be honest, I probably had the same experience walking away as what you described. Like, I sort of walked away thinking, like, you know, and I grew up with parents that dealt with addiction. You know, and I don't know how beneficial those sorts of spaces would have been for them, because so much of the reason for their addiction was wound up in trauma and stuff like that. So constantly, you know, like that positive affirmation example, that metaphor there, I don't know how beneficial that would have been for them confronting the trauma, you know, as opposed to just dealing with the symptoms. I've had people where, like, it's quite sad when I ask them, who are you? They're like, they can't even describe who they are. You know what I mean? So I go, okay, if you were to describe who were at 10 years old, then they're like, I was that. They kind of can't remember because of all the kind of negative reinforcement in their life. It's just really
upsetting. And
Absolutely.
For me, I think that's where the error is. They're kind of thinking one size fits all. And to me, everyone needs a unique approach that suits their values, their morals, rather than what works for me works for you, which is, for me, not right.
I love that.
But yeah.
Can you take us back to maybe starting with your early life, and give people a little bit of a background around what early life has been like, some of those turning points, and where you really started to grow that self-belief around where you're at today?
Yeah.
For people listening, like me and Musti go back a long time, so we spent some years together in high school, and have stayed connected since then, and I really value you making the time to join us. But for those that don't know that backstory, like, can you share a little bit about some of that part?
Yeah, well, I'm born with cerebral palsy, so that generally affects fine motor skills, speech, coordination, balance, and so on. Causes spasms, cramps, all that kind of thing, which I kind of worked on over time and improved. But yeah, growing up was quite hard, especially from my family side in a way. My family coming from Lebanon, third world country, they were having a civil war at the time, so they moved here in the 70s. For them, whatever the doctor says is true, is accurate, so they kind of blindly believe what the doctors say. So when I was young, no matter what I wanted to do, they wouldn't kind of be like, no, you can't do that, you can't do this, that kind of thing. So it was really tough growing up. I think the change of the guard at home was when I was around 12. So they agreed to finally leaving home alone for like an hour or so. I'm like, finally, I just wanted to be alone, like some kind of sense of freedom, and
definitely.
I remember it fondly because it shifted my parents' mentality that day. Is that when they came back, they found eating chicken nuggets. Like, it's just simple chicken nuggets, But they're like, oh, how did you make it? Oh, you didn't burn the house down. I'm like, of course I'm not gonna burn the house down. I know how to make these stuff, but you go like, give me the opportunity to show you what I'm capable of.
Totally.
Just because Dr. A, B, C, or whoever think I'm not capable of doing something, it doesn't mean I can't do it.
Totally.
Like, I'm the type, if something takes me a day or a week or a month, I don't care. If I put my mind to it, I'll find a way to do it.
I love that.
For me, that shifted the whole narrative at home. But as a teenager, I was bullied a lot. I had really low self-esteem because my speech was nowhere near what it was nowadays. You would remember.
Yeah, I remember.
I used to start every word and really struggled to get my words out there, and it was really difficult growing up. So I was bullied a lot because of that, because of being in a wheelchair, or racially vilified, or because of my background, my religion, all that kind of stuff. So it was really tough. I kind of go from all angles, but that's what kind of built me and kind of made me who I am today. Because when I was young, I used to I got bullied to the point of, it's not worth talking back. Just ignore. But it taught me a valuable skill, reading body language. Because I couldn't talk confidently, I learned to observe body language. And that's what I call that my superpower these days. I call my disability a superpower, but as well my observational skills. I'm able to tell when someone's happy, sad, lying, hiding the truth, or just joking, just by looking at their eyes, the ears, everything, the hands, the feet. I can tell when someone's kind of nervous about something. It kind of enhances me in a way. in a way that I did not expect, which
Absolutely.
I'm very grateful for. So that kind of, I didn't realize that until I was like 25.
Yeah,
But-
wow.
But when looking back at it, that really helped me in my career right now as a counselor, as a coach, and even like as a speaker, or even like mediating in like disagreements, between friends or family. I can read body language so effectively that it really helped my emotional intelligence. So I see it as a positive. Where when I was young, I was like, oh, this is kind of awful. Like you're getting bullied, you're getting put down all the time. But learning to just kind of talk only when necessary, it just kind of helped me. And then when I got my confidence growing up, I only became confident when I got really, I guess, into uni. And then I went to the gym. That kind of helped me. And then from there, my speech improved and my whole kind of career focus shifted. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question about early life for other, particularly young people that might be living with, doesn't have to be cerebral palsy, it can be anything that they might be dealing with. But we talked about the motivation for this podcast, about, when you're going through tough times, it can actually, whether you're diagnosed with a condition or whether you've been through a trauma, sometimes you join different support groups and places that, we both shared that we had not very positive experiences, checking out some of those social groups online and different things like that. And so the motivation for this podcast was about trying to build a suite of stories and people that have been through, trauma, tragedy, illness, injury, whatever it might be, and they're not just surviving, but they're thriving.
Yeah.
And so what I would love to come back to is like any sort of, because you talked about, those doctors had from a very young age very specific limiting beliefs around what you could and couldn't do, and your parents, rightly so, did their best to follow that to the T.
Yeah.
But, very clear, by the age of 12, you had this, independence about you to, like, what sort of messages would you have for people listening that might be resonating with your story, about their own mindset for them as young people?
Yeah, I think, honestly, it doesn't matter disability or not. I feel it's important to be an advocate for yourself. So literally,
I love that.
if you love something and are passionate about it and you really want to try it, keep advocating for yourself. Be like, no, I want to try this. Because it's very hard for a parent to be like, oh, I want to protect you, especially when you have a disability or you're young. Parents are, not all, but a lot of parents are like, oh, no, it might be too dangerous or something like that. And I mean, this is a message as well to parents. It's like, let your child give it a go. Like, the worst thing that can happen is it doesn't work out, but that's okay because they're going to learn a lesson from it. They're going to become stronger, more resilient growing up by, learning what they did right and what they did wrong on that situation, circumstance. And I feel like a lot of teenagers and children, they try and follow the crowd, unfortunately. Well, I believe, no, every one of us are born to stand out in our own way. We're all unique and beautiful in our own way, but I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I want to be like that famous person. That's not realistic. You gotta be who you are. As long as you be true to who you are, I really believe anything is possible. But you gotta have that belief in yourself that, I am good enough, I am worth it kind of thing, and what I want to do, I'm just gonna kind of rip in and go for it. Yes, you are gonna have multiple setbacks or, all that kind of thing in life, but that's all part of learning and growing.
You said something about, like, people think, is this happening to them or is it happening for them,
Yeah.
That's something that really stood out for me. And, I'd love to hear that because, I was diagnosed with leukemia last year, and I had a really challenging experience with these support groups that were, very, I was looking for something to inspire me. I was looking for something to try and find some sort of strength or resilience through what I was experiencing, but I was finding the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And that resonated with yourself as well, when you were going through there. And so, I guess I want to lean into that because there would be other people like you and me that would be diagnosed with whatever we might have that are going to these groups, experiencing the same thing too. What would you say to those people, or others that are stuck in that limiting belief mindset? What messages? Can you share a bit about that part of your journey now, and what you would say to other people that are struggling?
Yeah, well, in 2017, I believe, 2017-18, I got diagnosed with trigeminal neuralgia, which is affects the trigeminal nerves kind of on the side of the brain, and that kind of so the thing with trigeminal neuralgia is you get electric pulses, shocks through the brain, the ear, the whole side of the face. It can be on the right or the left side. It's incurable. Normally when you have it, it gives you a kind of a drug like Tegretol, which kind of dumbs you down because it really like shuts the nerves down. And when I went on that medication, my memory kind of went down, and I didn't feel like myself because I was starting to become randomly angry and erratic, and I'm like, I have to do something about this. It just didn't feel right. And then I tried joining groups, and everyone was like talking about pain, and really in a negative way. And I've never looked at pain in a negative way, which sounds really weird. It's not like I love pain, no. But I'm like, okay, I kind of dissected this disease. I go, okay, it's not incurable, but I'm like, I can't live my life in pain all the time, and I can't live my life just kind of on meds, dumbed down, and not doing what I love, which is helping people and making a difference. So I kind of broke down my symptoms one by one. So rather than looking at the whole disease, I looked at it as symptom by symptom. I thought, okay, well, how can I treat this symptom? So I broke it down into categories. So there were some symptoms I figured I could treat via chiropractic. Some symptoms I figured I could treat via herbs or diet, and that kind of thing. And over time, it actually started working. And like until now, I see my chiro on a regular basis, and I take my herbal shot. I made a herbal shot which has got 10 ingredients. I'm actually thinking of releasing it out there in the market because it even helps with migraines. Because the thing with the trigeminal nerves is that with trigeminal neuralgia, it kind of gets inflamed, which presses on the brain, which causes all the electric kind of shocks in your face, in your whole kind of brain region, and that kind of thing. So I kind of, okay, I'll use anti-inflammatory herbs. But what I did when I made I call it cocktail of like herbs, I kind of researched what went with what, and I researched the actual amount. And then at the time I did intermittent fasting, and I go, okay, let me kill two birds with the one stone. How can I burn fat more effectively while reducing inflammation? So I added like apple cider vinegar. And little things like that. And I go, okay, how can I fix my, like electrolyte balance? So I put like pink salt and cream of tartar in there. So, I've got like a whole bunch of stuff in there for inflammation and like the burning of like, the visceral fat in the body kind of thing. So Yeah, so I just approached it symptom. And the thing is, when I first got diagnosed, I thought it was a toothache. Reflecting all the way up my brain kind of thing. And then when I went dentist, they go, oh no, it's not that. I'm like, oh, and in my head I'm like, oh, that's not good. Isn't what it is, what I thought it was. Because I love research. Hence why I'm doing a doctorate. But like, I researched and I found out, oh, I think it's trigeminal. And when I went emergency, because I just couldn't handle the pain anymore, I was just on Panadol for like 2 weeks. The doctor literally called it the suicide disease. That's the nickname for it. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, normally 50% within 2 days. Unfortunately, just can't handle the pain.
Wow.
Like, it was really eye-opening.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. I'm like, I can't live like that. So that's what kind of drove me towards taking the symptom kind of approach rather than looking at a disease that's incurable.
I really love that, and I think it's like, you know, we're talking generally in terms of that feedback for many people listening, and we're not saying to, you know, ignore anything that your doctors are telling you, any of medicine like that. But you make some really important points about also having some agency over your own symptoms that you're experiencing.
100%. I never forget my neurologist, 36, and he's like, I've never seen anyone control their child. He's like, he's never seen it. And for me, what I've learned, it's all about mentality. Because I've even had doctors tell me, how have you improved so much? Like physically, speech-wise. And you know, I tell them my program, and they try it on people, they're like, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, of course it's not going to work if they don't want to do it or they don't believe in what they're doing. Because as a child, I disliked physio. I despised it.
Yeah.
Because it was being forced down my throat. If you really want to improve in something in life, the person needs to be invested in it, needs to believe in it. It's like I know you love the gym as much as I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But imagine being forced to go to the gym and you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, definitely.
If you can't see the other side, the purpose of what you're doing. But some days you go to the gym, it is so boring. You do like the most basic exercise, but that's the actual foundation that builds, that allows you to do the dynamic exercise. That works with everything in life.
Absolutely.
It's not just, you know, gym, it literally works with your personal, your professional, all that kind of part of life. And the thing about, I'll just quickly go back, the thing about those kind of groups is that they're all kind of looking for someone that is going through what they're going through, which is a good, I can see the positive part of it.
Definitely.
But the thing that people don't realize is it doesn't matter if you and I have the same condition, are going through the same amount of pain. Guess what? There's no two identical situations.
Definitely.
Your pain tolerance is different to mine. Yeah. The
Definitely.
way you look at life is different to the way I look at life. So it doesn't mean what works for me is going to work for you.
Totally.
It always goes back. Like whatever I do, I never recommend to someone do what I do. Because it's not going to work for you if it doesn't align with who you are as a person.
Absolutely.
It may help for like a week or two, but not for long. And that's when you see all these people go to like motivation seminars, like Tony Robbins and all that, but they keep going back. It's because they're just putting like a band-aid.
Yeah.
So my vision is to hold worldwide seminars where I only see you once or twice, and then hopefully I never see you again.
Yeah, definitely.
Unless you really want to support me, you're more than welcome. But I would rather never see you again in my life, knowing I had changed your life for the better. It needs to be uniquely tailored to who you are as a person.
Definitely.
And that's where people go wrong in a lot of things. And that's why hopefully like
Totally. Absolutely. You said something a bit earlier about you training at the gym and stuff, and how important that is, and even on those times when you don't want to go but it's important, and like I'm a big advocate around like everybody needs some sort of a movement practice, whether it's the gym, whether it's walking, whether it's swimming, like yoga, whatever that might be. But one of the things I've experienced is like, particularly in the groups that I've been a part of, is many people appear not to, because they're too unwell or their symptoms might be too hard. And I think, you're a perfect example of somebody who, regardless of what they might be experiencing, still makes the space to commit to that sort of stuff. Can you talk to how you continue to show up?
I think the thing that I learned most is, and I learned this due to COVID, my experience due to COVID, it's going to be a bit like, I'll try and not make it gruesome, but explain it enough so everyone can understand. Just before COVID happened, I had a small labrum tear in my hip. So I've had tears before, rehab them effectively. I think you remember in about 2018, I started to like walk a bit, stand a bit, all that kind of thing. I had a minor tear and then I started rehabbing, but then lockdowns happened. So what happened during lockdown, I could no longer train, could no longer rehab, and my muscles got weaker to the point of my spasms, because I got cerebral palsy, overpowered my muscles to the point of that minor tear became a full tear. So I literally ripped my muscle off the bone, the hip bone. Like, the worst pain. I think it was worse than a trigeminal neuralgia pain. But what happened is, like, every time I spasmed, I tore it more and more and more. And obviously, what's going to happen when you feel pain, you're going to cramp and spasm more. So it was like, kind of, it was a cycle. It was horrendous, literally. And I went in hospital like half a dozen times, and every time I went there it was kind of traumatizing because all you hear every 2 seconds, negative, positive, it was COVID times. It was like, oh my god, I don't want to be around like
definitely
all that kind of stuff. Anyway, it's like even the doctors there, because I did research, I go, I know I can't do a hip replacement, because if I do a hip replacement, I'll dislocate my hip because I can't stay still enough. So that's not a practical solution. And I said to them, so I did my own research and I go, can you do a PRP? You know what a PRP is?
No.
It's called plasma replacement therapy.
Okay.
Where they draw your blood, they recycle it, get your white blood cells, and they inject it back where the injury was.
Yeah, I've heard about
so
this.
So I said to the doctors in the hospital, I go, can you give me PRP? I go, that's my only shot, and I really believe it will work. I've done my research. And they're like, no. I'm like, what do you mean no? I'm like, well, you got nothing to lose, do it. And they're like, no. I go, okay, I'll find someone that will agree. And I went on the hunt, 2 or 3 people, no, until I found one who works at the Swiss, New South Wales Institute of Sport kind of health department. And he goes, you know what, I'll give it a go. And after, it took like 5 shots, but the muscle eventually reattached to the hip zone.
Wow.
But by itself. But oh my god, every injection hurt more and more and more. Because as the muscle got reattached, it's harder to get the needle in because the muscle becomes more dense. When it first was, it wasn't reattached, it wasn't attached. It kind of went in easily. You didn't really have to go through the whole muscle. But that pain is like, I'll never forget it. But since then, I haven't really been able to go to the gym, which gym was my outlet. I used to go 6 times a week, 6, 7 times, and even like train at home. I was literally a fitness addict. I was like,
you were a unit.
I was like 8% body fat and doing things
shredded.
Like 3-4 times my weight and all of that. I was completely shredded. But like, the thing is, what I learned is I'm like, okay, I still need an outlet. So once I got physically well enough, not to go gym, but well enough, I go, okay, what can I do to kind of release the outlet? I went back to study because I loved to study and that kind of thing. But then I'm like, okay, once a week I'm going to have me time. I don't care if it's 1 hour or 2 hours, I'm going to do something I've always wanted to do, but I haven't really got a chance to do it yet. So I think that's something that I highly recommend for people, especially when you work a 9-to-5 job or like have kids, have 1 to 2 or 3 hours on a Sunday or Saturday and do something that you've been putting off for like months. Have your own time. It might be writing a book, reading a book, having a spa day. Each to their own. Totally. You know, but for me, it was like, okay, I used to go fishing all the time. And I haven't been fishing back then for like years because of being in bed, I couldn't move and COVID and all that. And I'm not, you know, every Sunday for like a couple months I went fishing. And that kind of got my mental health slowly better. And then I started incorporating a bit of, you know, study or like reading particular things or even like I started, you know, recording videos or little things like that where I'm like, okay, I want to do something I love, something I enjoy for me. It doesn't have to be something wow and something out of, you know, this world, you know, but there's something to get me more mentally switched on and distract me from the pain that I was going through physically.
I love that you did your own research around different stuff, and you really made the effort to get multiple opinions around, you know, looking for support for that sort of stuff. And I think it's so great to hear that you found someone who was willing to look at that treatment for you and that you got a great result from it. And I think it's a good message for people to also, you know, be open to having that agency for your own health and well-being and not being afraid to ask questions and ask other professionals the same questions and seek that sort of support and stuff. I think it's a great example of you getting a great outcome from that if I'm sure there's many people that are listening to this that have always ever just seen the one doctor for what they might be experiencing and have never thought to ever ask different questions to different people with the same qualifications too.
Yeah, well, for me, because I've been shut down so many times growing up by specialists and doctors and family members and so on. I've grown to the point where maybe that's what's unconsciously driven my craving for research. I don't know, my love for research. I love it, but I'm the type where if I want to figure out something, I'll literally research the, you know, hell out of it kind of thing and to find something that's out there. And it's not like a, you know, one study kind of thing. I'll try and find concrete backing around it and be like, okay, can this be implemented towards my situation or towards, example, someone else's, depending who I'm trying to help or aid or whoever it may be. And then I'll kind of, like, to these doctors, I literally printed out my research and be like, look, it can be done. And it's unfortunate that a lot of specialists are reluctant to go beyond what they've already learned.
Yeah.
Like, example, when I did my honours, I purposely sought out a supervisor that was willing to do my research how I wanted to do it. A lot of them were like, no, I want to do it. We'll do it on cerebral palsy, but we'll do it this way. And then I looked at it, I go, why do you want to do it that way? And they're like, oh, because I specialize in that area. I'm like, so you're not really open to learning anything new. A lot of people are kind of scared of the unknown, right? Where I welcome the unknown. I'm not, no, I love not knowing. You know, for me, it's so empowering to discover like something new, something that hasn't even been thought of before. And for me, that's like in my honours research, I did something, you know, an area that was never kind of researched before. So I did cerebral palsy, but I looked at it from a mental health perspective, so on depression and anxiety in adults. But I looked at it from emotional regulation, emotional intelligence, and post-traumatic growth kind of lens. So that's never been done anywhere in the world before. It's only been done emotional regulation and emotional intelligence to a certain point on kids, children, right? And on their caregivers, mostly on caregivers.
Okay.
So my point is, if you do it on adults, and that could work with any kind of population, not just CP. My plan is to not only inform NDIS policies, but hopefully implement policies for the general population here. Because my theory is, if you're able to see how the brain adapts for an adult, then you can kind of reverse engineer it and hopefully limit depression and anxiety and stress that way, but reverse engineering what works for an adult and re-implementing into a child. Because too many teenagers, young adults are living with severe depression and anxiety from such a young age and are traumatized by it. When I was young, there was really nothing out there.
Yeah.
And even now, they're kind of guessing, and a lot of the research that I found, and where they went wrong, is they had intellectually disabled in there as well. So you're not really going to get an accurate, you know...
Skews the data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It skews the data immensely. Because if you want to test intellectual disability, then you need to modify your questionnaire. You may need use pictures.
Absolutely.
You still can do it. I'm not saying you can't, but you need to change the way you're you know, doing the questionnaire. So it might be shorter sentences, you know, pictures, diagrams, stuff like that, where it's more visual rather than long paragraphs and that kind of stuff. Or it might be like instead of, you know, it might be like a scale from 1 to 3 or rather than 1 to 7.
Yeah.
Depending on the level of intellectual disability.
Totally.
And what my research found, and I feel like this is accurate in people that don't have a disability as well, is they found that kids doing questionnaires there was a lot of responsive and protective bias involved. So
can you explain?
Yeah, so what I mean by that is that when a parent is around while they're doing the question, they're not going to answer truthfully because they don't want to offend the parent. Or they don't want to show them, especially if the questions are really vulnerable, they don't want to really show their parent, oh, I'm dealing with this. So they're gonna kind of not tell the truth and skew the data as well. So what I'm recommending is let the child choose who they want to be with them, if someone has to be with them, while they're administering the questionnaire.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same with like any therapy. You know, some people are able to talk to their parents, some are not.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and it's the same thing with people with disabilities, especially because a lot of people with disabilities rely on support workers, right, on carers. But it doesn't mean that they're comfortable sharing what is really holding them back when that person's there. So my plan is with people with cerebral palsy in the future, when I administer surveys, I'm planning to administer them myself. So that way they're like, oh, I can relate to you.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want any parent kind of involved there, kind of thing. Or if they want a support worker, I'll get someone that has like someone that they can relate to, or someone that they're open with.
Definitely.
That way you're gonna get a lot more accurate data moving forward.
I hear you.
And it's the same with any kind of disease or medical condition. Having someone around them that they're comfortable with will get you a lot more accurate data moving forward. They're not gonna have that bias in how they respond, or they're not like, oh, I want to protect my parent because they're gonna hear what I say.
Totally.
You know, like, how many kids out there are dealing with domestic violence? Imagine that, and then they have to answer in front of their parent.
Yeah, domestic violence survey.
Who might be the one who's causing it. They're not gonna open up. It's
Absolutely.
like, I'm all good.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, it's that. I think it's that lived experience insight that you have as a researcher. You know, to be able to pick up on those cues, like you talk about. You open this conversation with your experience as a young person, you know, growing up at home and your parents never letting you out of their sight, and not till you were 12 years old, you know, you finally got some space to do some stuff yourself. Like, I imagine that, like, you know, that would give you that insight around like how that would have maybe affected you as a young person if somebody surveyed you and you had your dad next to you, that I imagine would have maybe affected how you would have responded, you know, because you got the people that you love right next to you looking at how you're responding, you know.
I think now I have such a powerful relationship with my parents, especially my dad. My dad's like my best friend in the world. You know, like, if I'm half the man he is when I grow up, like, honestly I'll be proud. Like he's amazing. But like for him, he's always been supportive. He's always been the, you know, no, give it a go, you know, kind of thing, which has really helped me along the way as well. And I think having that kind of parent is like, okay, if you fall, I'm there to catch you, and it's okay to not succeed all the time. Like, how is someone gonna learn if you're just gonna hand it to them every time? They have to earn something in their life. It doesn't just fall in your lap, you know. And that's why I'm a big believer in, okay, whatever opportunity I have in life, if I feel like it aligns with my values, my morals, my beliefs, let's go for it. I've got nothing to lose, you know. Like, example, this podcast, I've seen it for a while now, and I'm like, yeah, it aligns with who I am. You know, I don't look at, am I getting money or no? I'm like, and for me, it's not even about exposure. For me, it's about inspiring the next generation, empowering the next generation. It's not about, yes, I'm getting my name out there. Yes, that is a positive, but I feel like if you do things with the right intention, all the positive stuff happen anyway. And I feel like Australia can be so much better. Is why do it, and it happens to actors and singers, why do we have to go overseas to make a name for ourselves, to really make an impact in our home, in the land down under, as I say?
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm so proud to be Australian. You know, every time I represent Australia now in wheelchair hockey, para football, and last November, bocce. So I'm working towards the Paralympics at the moment. So that's my goal currently. But like, there's no better feeling than hearing your anthem. It's like, for me, it literally brings a tear to my eye. I love it, you know what I mean? Like, I'm so proud to be Australian, and for me, that's what I love about Australia. I love the multiculturalism that we have here, but it always have those people that are either ignorant or just don't want to see it as, you know, beyond that. They look at your skin color or your disability or however it may be. For me, I'm like, no, it's a humanity over background, over all that kind of stuff.
There's a couple of key questions I'd like to ask before the end of our conversation together. But you've had a chance to wear the green and gold, I think 3 times now, or in 3 different sports.
3 different sports, yeah.
What's something that you're really proud of that has nothing to do with sport and the stuff that you've achieved in that sort of physical sort of space?
Well, definitely what I'm doing education-wise. I set a goal for myself 4 years ago. I go, no, I'm going to do a doctorate. And I know there's so many limited spaces in my the doctorate program. Like, only, you know, a bunch of them. And like, even in my honours, I'm like, no, I'm going to get the marks done kind of thing. And for me, that takes a lot of willpower, because I sometimes, especially if I have a bad day, I just can't physically go on the computer and type and do my work. So I have to like hire someone, I like dictate to them and they'll do the typing. So for me, I guess the biggest achievement for me is what I'm doing, like career-wise and education-wise. I've got like, I don't know, 5 qualifications under my belt. Like, I never brag about them or talk about them, but like, if someone asks,
here's the space for it, brother.
You know, but like, for me, that's what I'm proud of, because there's so many challenges around them that people don't see. And for me, I think that's everything in life, though. It's all the hours that you put behind the camera, or when no one's looking, they're the ones that make it. So that's what makes it so much more rewarding. And I think that's in everything in life. Like, maybe sport, education, or work is just...
Definitely.
You know, like, for me, honestly, if you want to know what I've done. I used to run a web design development company.
Yeah, I remember you doing that. Yeah.
You remember doing that? Yeah. I did that coming out of school. I left that, honestly, because I'm like, nah, I want to help people.
Yeah.
And to show you how much I'm not scared of the unknown, I remember fondly, I did my bachelor's in computer science. And after my web development advanced diploma kind of thing, and then I'm like, you know what, I need a change, and I kind of stopped my web development. I went back on disability pension. I'm like, I don't care about the money. I don't love it. I'm gonna leave it. And then I did masters of project management, and I kind of pulled the plug like a trimester out of it, and I'm like, I didn't care about the qualification. I'm not happy. If I'm not happy, I'm not going to do it. Like, I'm not here to please other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I was young, I used to do things to please other people. And I'm like, not for me, not going to do it. And then from there, I went into counselling, and I did a double degree of counselling and psychology. And then I did psychology honours, and then I did being profile accreditation. So that's all about the way your relationship with the way you're being. So there's like 31 ways of being in your life around communication, peace of mind, authenticity. I can talk for like an hour about that kind of stuff. Right? It's all about ontological kind of coaching and approach in your everyday life. But I got accreditation in those two. I've actually, and this is where the frustrating thing, about before COVID, I actually got a personal training accreditation.
Oh yeah, nice.
But they wouldn't give me it
Okay.
because I couldn't do the first aid, which is ridiculous. And this is where the policies need changing, because what I was kind of arguing with them, I go, if I can get proof that I know how to instruct someone to do CPR, isn't that as good as me doing it myself? Because in theory, how many people out there call the ambulance because they don't know how to do CPR?
Yeah.
Right? But it's the same thing. So I'm like, well, at least I can instruct you how to do it. It needs to be more flexible. Because, like, imagine me as a PT, and I used to design programs for friends, families, even the nutrition plans. I used to do all that. About 5-6 years ago, before COVID, I used to do it anyway, and I may as well get qualification for it, and because I had a job lined up.
Totally.
But because they wouldn't give me it, I'm like, okay, I have to pivot. But I still learned a lot from that course. In a way, it just kind of validated that how I was designing my program were the right way. Yeah, this is things that I've done along the way. Like, even last year I did my honours, I did my beam profile and my coaching accreditation, like, all at once in like 1 year, while debuting for Australia and watch it.
Yeah, wow.
I had a shitload of stuff that
Yeah,
I
I
did,
bet.
but like I'm currently working on a children's book.
Yeah,
and,
awesome.
like a side project, and I'm working on an app that I'm kind of doing on my own. The little things like that. I keep myself busy when I can. So.
It sounds like outside of the green and gold, there's been a stack of pieces of the puzzle of your journey that have been really inspiring and things for you to be proud of. What's one story that you had to unlearn about yourself on your journey, you reckon? Because a lot of people, like we said, they get told certain things, or they maybe have limiting beliefs around what they can achieve. What's one story you feel like you had to unlearn about yourself that maybe the world was telling you?
It's probably when I first started uni. I mean, just having, like, yes, I had that belief in myself at that age, but I still kind of had that limiting belief is that I'm not worthy, or I'm not good enough for like particular people, or like I kind of struggled with relationships and all that kind of thing. I didn't feel like I kind of had enough to offer. I mean, that was kind of, no matter how much I kind of tried, push that thought away growing up, it kind of plagued me over and over, because growing up, I always had the feedback of, oh, I wish, I found someone like you that wasn't in a wheelchair. It kind of, it became like a trigger for a good 5-10 years, until I'm like, F this. I'm like, if you don't like me for me, you're not good enough for me. It took me a long time to kind of get over it. I mean, it was really hard, and not even just a relationship space. I remember being offered a IT job in a company, and I remember the guy that got the job was severely underqualified compared to me, but he got it, and I could tell instantly it's because of me being in a wheelchair. And for me, it was kind of like a trigger growing up, wheelchair equals not good enough kind of thing. Until I knew it wasn't true, but it's hard when most people saw it that way. And even family members, until now, sometimes see it that way, assume because you're in a wheelchair you're not capable of A, B, C, D. Like, it's actually really funny. I remember, like, even when I get in my doctorate or got really high marks in my honours or whatever, they're like, oh, how did your son do that? Like, what do you mean how I did that? I earned that. Like, what are you on about? Like, But it's like there's this belief in someone in a wheelchair can't do particular things. But I've had interactions on the train because I catch public transport a lot where they're like, oh, I remember fondly, it was around 5:30 in the afternoon, and it's peak hour, like full cabin full of people, and this lady walks up to me, she goes, oh, I feel sorry for you. I looked at her and go, no honey, I feel sorry for you. And everyone just laughed.
Yeah.
But I'm like, who are you to tell me you feel sorry for me? I'm like, what are you on about?
Yeah, who are you?
You know
nothing about me.
But it's that automatic assumption. And I even got people where they're like, they'll slow down how they talk.
Yeah.
They're like, hi, how are you? So what I do on purpose, I'm like, I'm good. Like, I'll like mimic him kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, if I tell you my actual qualifications and what I do for work and what I do outside of work, I'll literally put you to shame, and like, it's like someone slapped you across the head, but I never stoop down to that level. Because I'm like, I don't want to make someone feel like shit. You know, I never want to put someone down in that way. But if I have to speak up, and that's something that I've learned, I'll speak up now.
So what's that message for people that are listening about what you had to unlearn about
I think
yourself?
For me, the biggest lesson that I learned is that we are good enough. Like, you are good enough. Who you are, I feel like it's important to believe in yourself and be true to who you are. I live my life by quality over quantity. So the amount of friends I have, true friends that I have, is probably the amount of fingers that I have in my hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I keep my circle small, and for me, I don't really believe in best friends. For me, a best friend becomes like family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love
if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I have a whole bunch of friends. I have really good friends that I kind of trust, whatever. But my best friends are really more like family.
Yeah.
So it's not about blood relation.
Totally.
They become more like family. And sometimes you can trust them more than the actual blood relation. Right?
I hear that.
But the thing about that people need to realize is, I want to say this, that regarding people, for me what I do, example, say you have 10 people in this room. Every person, I will tell them a little piece of me. But no one really knows the whole Musti. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So I never really fully indulge myself to everyone. Unless it's your life partner, you may give them 80%, 90%. But there's always something that you need to keep to yourself. No matter what it is. There's always something that you need to keep to yourself. And I feel that people overshare.
I have a question here saying, is it harder to train your body or train your mind?
Mind.
Yeah?
Hands down. But it's funny enough, every time I got injured in my life, it's because my mind was too strong for my body. But it took years to build my mind. It's not like yes, you can shift that and be like, no, I want to change from today. But it takes weeks and weeks of reinforcement. And that's why I was talking to you about that story about addiction. Imagine that negative reinforcement. I'm an addict. Over time, that becomes instilled into who you are, your identity.
Yeah.
It's the same with positive thinking. That mindset of, no, I can, and be like, okay, I don't care if it takes a week, a month, a year. If I want to do something, I'm going to find a bloody way how to do this. I don't care how long it takes. That's kind of my mentality. But I remember when I approached doctoral New South Wales, it was 2023, mid-23, as I started to get better and pre my PRP hip. And I'm like, can I play? I'm like so ambitious. They're like, no, you have to like qualify. I'm like, okay. I'm like, where do I get that equipment from?
Yeah.
And right then, the Australian coach was like, "Ooh, this guy's really eager, okay." And then I'm like, I said, I started in 2024, February, my first comp. And I said to them, within like 1 year, I'll make New South Wales. Within 2, I'll make Australia.
Yeah.
They're like, no, it'll take like 5 years. It can't be done that quick.
Yeah.
Within 16 months, I made Australia.
Yeah. Do you find that those limiting beliefs are a motivation?
100%. But
Yeah.
the difference is that when I grew up, I used to do things to prove people wrong. I no longer do that. I don't give two shits what people think anymore. I do things to prove me right.
That leads me to this question then, like, with that mindset, has there been a time where you've nearly quit, and what has stopped you?
2 times that I can remember. I pretty much like, why am I doing this? I tried doing neuralgia.
Yep.
Probably one of the worst pains, and my hip. Probably 3 times actually. When I was about 16, 17, I was really sick. So I used to like literally vomit every day from stress. Doctors was like, if you keep going, like you actually like potentially like, die and all this kind of like, it can be really bad and all this kind of stuff. I'm a big family man. I love family. I think that kept me going. My sport kept me going. But I think growing up through the pain, it was more, what kept me going was forgiveness. It's really easy to forgive other people. You can be the better person. You can move on and learn. It doesn't mean you have to trust them, but you can forgive them and learn from the situation and be like, okay, I got that in my head. I just won't disclose as much in the future, or I'll learn from this and move forward. But the hardest type of forgiving is forgiving yourself. And that comes a lot with the people, like I was saying, that have disorders or addictions or commit crimes. It's not about forgiving. Yes, they get them to ask for forgiveness from other people, but they can't truly move on until they forgive themselves. Once you forgive yourself, it's like a whole weight comes off your shoulders. And then you can truly move forward in your life.
Yeah, I think that's really important point, and it really resonates a lot. We do a lot of work in similar sorts of spaces and places, and people might hear you say something like that and think like, oh, that's an interesting perspective, what someone could do something wrong, but they have to forgive themselves when they've hurt somebody else. But I think you articulate it really well. It's like, if we want people to be able to move forward and to not hurt people again, or to not do the right thing again, then there needs to be some sort of a process of healing and moving through that.
100%.
I wanted to ask you one final question as well, and it's really about the sector. So we talked about the sector, and we talked about systems not working together at the start of our yarn. I don't even know if we recorded that bit, but we talked about different things. But I sort of wanted to ask you, like, what do you wish that, like, and we've talked about workplace experiences you've had, but what do you wish that sort of the workplace, carers, policymakers sort of understood and knew based on your journey and your lived experience?
Yeah.
What's like one thing that they could take away in terms of whether it's their own practice and how they do work, or whether it's how organisations could do work better or policy could be done better?
Regarding policies, depending on the type of policy, it's really important to have someone that has lived experience in that area to help inform those policies, and not just having someone that thinks, this is what's going to work for them, and so on and so on. Regarding to work, I really think I think these days, if I were to hire someone, yes, I'll look at your resume, but it's more of how we connect as individuals. I really believe if you hire someone that has the passion for what they're doing, they're gonna outwork the person that's qualified. Like, obviously they need to know what they're doing. I'm not saying,
Totally.
not qualified. But I'm saying they're gonna outdo someone that's slightly more qualified 9 out of 10 times than someone who's just overqualified and doesn't really have a passion for the job. Well, the person that has a passion for it is gonna work 10 times harder than the one that's just doing it for the money.
Definitely.
And I feel like that's where people are going for the wrong. They're looking at it in the wrong way. Instead of looking for the right fit for the actual company based on your mission, your values, your all that kind of thing, they kind of look at that resume.
Definitely.
For me, it's like everyday relationships, everyday partnerships. I don't look at purely resume. Can I connect to this person? I'm gonna work with them. Like, for how long? Can I relate to them? Can I have a normal conversation with them?
Definitely.
If not, you may be a good fit, but in the long term, it's not gonna work out. If you really can't see yourself growing alongside that person, but I highly value partnerships, growth, collaborations, all that kind of stuff. If you don't see yourself growing alongside that individual, I don't see them as the right fit for your company.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like with policies, I think the government kind of outsmarts itself. They don't really think from the ground up. Like I told you about Centrelink, how it's divided with my disability pensions, for example. They raise, they give you $20 extra, but the housing takes nearly half of that anyway. And that's a fortnight. $10 might buy a cabbage roll or something.
Yeah.
Come on.
Totally.
I don't know if this is recorded from earlier, but about the BSP, it's divided into 2 sections. It's got pension supplement and then your actual pension. The way to save money for the government is to actually move more of the pension money into the supplement, where the housing departments and stuff cannot touch it. Therefore, you're automatically putting more money in the pocket of pensioners without actually putting more money into that kind of sector. Instead of paying and lifting the wage up, you're in a way lifting it up indirectly by referring more money to the supplement. Because right now the laws indicate that the housing departments are only allowed to take it based on your pension section of your, because it's divided into 2 kind of areas. So if they want to actually relieve economic and financial stress, move a portion of the pension into the pension supplement, automatically your rent will drop by $50 or $80 per week, and hello, you have that money in your pocket. But instead they lift it up by $10, $14 a fortnight randomly, but they do it in the pension. Therefore, we don't really get that money. Yeah. It's just, there's no common sense to the way policies are made for people who are socially, economically disadvantaged.
Absolutely.
There's literally no common sense. Even with the NDIS, there's a lot of improvement that needs to be made, and I'm hoping I can help inform policies in the future in that area. But there's so many things that we can do in our beautiful country that yes, they may cost a lot more money initially, but it's gonna save billions down the track. And maybe in the future I'll run for state parliament or council, I don't know. It needs to be done.
I'd like to see it. Needs to be done.
It needs to be done, honestly. But yeah, as you know, that's why I kind of came up with my business, stay true to you. Like, you know, and it's all about being yourself, being yourself and believing in yourself. And I feel like if everyone kind of lived in that kind of mentality in that way, we'll have so much more love in this world.
Absolutely.
You know? So, yeah.
Absolutely. I thought a nice question for us maybe to finish on is a memory we have of each other from high school, because it's a bit of a funnier and gentler way for us to finish. So is there anything you remember, like how would you describe me in high school, and then I'll describe you maybe in one sentence?
I can't describe him in one sentence.
I'll go first. I think one thing that stays with me about you from high school is you were a diehard Doggies fan.
I still am.
Still am. We should have had that in the introduction. And you always had a great sense of humour. And you always had a really strong smile. And I think that's something that really resonates with me, particularly how you talked about how tough some of those years were at the start of this podcast.
Yeah.
I had at that age no self-awareness. You know, obviously I probably would have been aware that, you know, your experience would have been a bit more tougher as an adolescent compared to mine. But how you showed up day to day in high school, my memory always of you was always of someone who had a great sense of humour and was always smiling in, especially, you know, PD Health PE.
No, favourite class, by the way. Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I remember those days with you and shitting on the Doggies and all that vice versa sort of stuff there.
I think for me, it's and probably why we're still friends for so long is that how like inclusive you were. Even though you were as what you are now. I mean, even at that young age, that's something where you and I really aligned, is that we never kind of bad-mouthed other people. Like, even at a young age, we never kind of put down, you know, other guys or other girls. We were like we kind of got along with anyone and everyone. Yeah, and that's something what I remember. Remember you loving basketball, sport like I did, and we just kind of always had a good chat. Yeah. And I remember a lot of the boys kind of causing riff-raff and trouble here and there, but you were a lot like me in that sense that we just kind of, it wasn't like we're in a clique. We're just kind of, you know, yeah, I get along with this group, that group. It's not like, we never really followed the crowd, you and I. We kind of like, we get along with anyone, we treat everyone kind of how we like to be treated. Yeah. And I think that's something I've always respected about you, is that it wasn't like, even like at that age where you see a lot of teenagers, they'll have their own clique, their own group of people, and then they'll badmouth others, make them feel like shit and so on. Yeah. But you were like one of the few that actually like treated me as someone that wasn't in a wheelchair. And that's something that I'm really grateful for and respected you for that. So that's something that I remember really fondly about you.
Yeah, I do remember a lot of our yarns about the footy on the weekend and a lot of banter just about sports. And you were playing hockey and stuff in high school too, weren't you? So we had a lot of conversations about hockey. I played
sport back then. So I played competitively from like 12 years old to about 28 years old, and I had like 9 years off, and then I started sport randomly again, and I was like, I want to go Paralympic. I'm like, okay, let's go for it. And nice. I went all in. So
a lot of our conversations would just be about talking about our sport and the sports we played on the weekends, you know, as well.
Oh yeah, by the way, you just reminded me, I can't help myself. I do stand-up comedy, right, like here and there as well. But do you know what my favourite thing about the gym is? That I miss leg day. You know what I love about LinkedIn?
What about it?
It's guaranteed I won't walk the next day.
Fucking
I actually did stand-up, sit-down comedy.
Did ya?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did a fair bit of it before COVID.
Yeah, cool.
I want to get back into it.
Yeah, awesome.
But that's something I want to incorporate in my seminars. I want to have like bit of comedy, bit of kind of education, motivation. All that. So we'll see.
You're clearly a thought leader across so many different areas. You know, I'd love to see you creating more content, sharing more of the knowledge that you've got, and any different resources that people can understand it. Even just obviously there's the personal journey that you've been on and the mindset stuff, like that's one bit, but even all this academic knowledge that you've got now in your degree area that you're going into that doctorate journey on, you've got all these different facets that add so much value across so many different sectors and our communities, and particularly people that are navigating tough times that can draw that inspiration from you too. I just think like we're so lucky to have you doing the work that you're doing, and I hope you keep creating more content and sharing those resources far and wide. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you for coming in and giving your time up, bro. Thanks so much, eh?
Thank you.